Hello, and welcome to this presentation with the very cheesy name that I like to call Thriving, Not Surviving the Christmas Period. Now, the purpose in this presentation, seminar, whatever you want to call it, is because I know the Christmas period, for a lot of people, gives them quite a bit of angst, a little bit of stress, whether you have been working on your goals and towards your goals for quite some time, or whether, you kind of feel like you're only really getting started. And then it's like, oh fuck, Christmas comes, and people can feel a little bit of stress about it or feel like they're going backwards, and I suppose just how to best navigate it. So there's quite a bit to go through in this, so I will quit the rambling and get going. Also, I apologise in advance if you have an issue with swearing. I will try to keep it to a minimum, but when I get passionate, that passion comes out. So as I said, Christmas causes quite a bit of angst for some people. So how do we thrive it and not just feel like we have to survive through it? So the very first thing that is really, really important to remember is that it is the most wonderful time of the year. There are songs written about it. It is on every second Christmas card that you see for a reason. Like, Christmas is a great time, and it's a time that should be enjoyed, with your loved ones, with the people closest to you. So it's not something that you should feel like you have to survive and just get through, or feel any angst and stress around. So it is just remembering that it is a period of time. The way that we speak to ourselves is so important. And I think, actually reminding yourself of that and not being like, oh fuck, how am I going to get through the next couple of weeks? How am I going to survive through this? And, getting consumed by all the posts you will see on social media over the next couple of weeks around this, and, how to just get through it, that you're not getting through anything. It is literally, you're not going to war. It is literally the most wonderful time of the year. It is a time that should be enjoyed. And I think just rephrasing and reframing the way that you think about this period of time. For some context for you, today is December 1st. There are 31 days left of this year. Let's just think about this from a bigger picture. If you were to eat 4 meals a day, that means you have 124 meals in the month of December. Between Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and then other parties and events that you might have, Christmas parties, girl meetups, whatever it is. You roughly have maybe 20 festive meals coming up. So are you really going to sack off the entire month of December because of 20 meals out of 124? Something I tell my clients all the time is that there is a time and a place for everything, but it's also recognizing that it is what you do consistently. It is not what you do occasionally. So you going and sacking off the entire month because it's too hard, I have too many events coming up, XYZ, is bullshit, right? It doesn't mean that you should be, we're going to get into it now more, but it doesn't mean, that you need to be trying to maintain a deficit throughout this month, but it is just being aware of the bigger picture of things. Like, Christmas really is a 2-week period out of 52 weeks of the year. So what you do the other 50 weeks of the year, put more effort and emphasis into that than what you do for the 2 weeks of Christmas or the 31 days for the month of December. Track or don't track is something a lot of people, I suppose, query and question. If you are currently tracking your calories, working on your goals, this is entirely up to you, right? But whatever you do, you own it, you accept it, and you move on. It is just really important to be realistic with your expectations and your social occasions coming up during the festive season. So, being aware of something I actually really recommend people do is actually get a calendar, write onto it the days that you have events. It also really helps you be able to see that, the 20 meals out of 124 really don't mean much, but it's also being, if you have the biggest social battery in the entire world and you have 100 meals out of 124 this Christmas period, that's fine. You own that, you accept it, you move on with it, and you enjoy it. But it's just being realistic with your expectations for this month, in what, you really want to get out of it as well. So diet and phases. If you are currently in a diet phase or want to be in a diet phase, have been, working in a diet phase for quite some time, it is important to remember that we never want to be aiming to diet for 52 weeks of the year. To put it very frankly, if you are aiming to diet for 52 weeks of the year and feel like you have been for quite some time and are still not where you want to be, unless you have, 20 plus kilos to lose, something's going wrong there. So it can be very important to take time away from diet. And why do we not want to diet for 52 weeks of the year? Number one, you'd be fucking miserable. But also, it is actually incredibly important. Living in a deficit, what people don't realize is that dieting is a stressor on the body. So if you diet or maintain a deficit for a long period of time, and I mean maintain it, not like dipping in and out of it, if you are consistent with a deficit for a period of time, you don't want to stay in one for a very long time, and you can't. That's where diet breaks and refeeds should be incorporated in if you are still working towards a fat loss goal. Because hunger will increase, your energy levels will decrease, your libido will probably take a whack, your performance in the gym will go to absolute shit, because that's what calories are. Calories are energy. If you have very little energy in the tank, you cannot train to your full potential. Hormones can really be affected, and mental fatigue as well. Like, it's fucking exhausting being in a deficit for a long period of time. So my thing I tell everyone is get in, get it done, get the hell back out again. You are setting yourself up for failure by telling yourself that you're going to stick to a deficit that you cannot comply to. So if you turn and tell yourself, oh, do you know what, I'm going to stick to my deficit this Christmas, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Being realistic with your expectations. Have you a lot of stuff on? Is now really the best time for you to diet? Can you commit to a deficit phase right now? If you cannot, which a lot of people can't, again, there's 50 other weeks of the year, make them your periods of time when you diet. Christmas really, in my opinion, is not the best time to trying to achieve a diet phase. And what happens then if you tell yourself you are going to, and you realistically know now is not a good time for you, come January, you are already fucking fed up, because you have spent the month of December or those 2 weeks around Christmas telling yourself, I'm going to stick to your deficit. You don't stick to your deficit. Then you get frustrated with yourself. You feel guilt. You feel all these different emotions. So come January, when everyone is on the new year, new me buzz, please get that out of your vocabulary, by the way, you're already fed up. You've already spent the last 2 to 4 weeks telling yourself you're going to adhere to something that you're not. You're already frustrated. So what can be very beneficial then is to actually take time away from a diet phase. This does not mean that you have to hit full fuck it mode, right? Because again, are you sacking off the entire month because of 20 meals out of 124? You are an adult, so it is also a really good time to work on your relationship with food as well. Fuck it is Christmas is the most used phrase of the month. I'm going to be honest, it's a scapegoat. It's an excuse. Food is not going anywhere. Yes, your dairy milk in the shape of a Santa only comes around at Christmas, but it's still the same dairy milk that you get year round. So being very aware of that, and your relationship with food as well. A prime example of this, fuck it, it's Christmas and it's 10:30 on the 12th of December and you're eating a Christmas pudding when you'd usually have a protein shake or an apple because you're on your morning break. So it's just being aware of your mindset and mentality around this time of the year. So as I said, getting out of a deficit can be a very beneficial thing to do, and actually spending time at maintenance. What this does is it literally maintains the results of where you're at. It gives you more flexibility because you obviously have a wider range of calories. It gives you more food freedom. It reduces any down regulation. So if you have been dieting for a long period of time, again, as I said, diet breaks, refeeds should be implemented. So time at maintenance can be really beneficial to simply undo any potential down regulation that happens from an extended period of being in a deficit. Increases your energy expenditure. So essentially, sometimes people freak about time at maintenance and they're like, oh my God, more food, more calories. Literally, as I said, calories are energy, right? That's literally all they are. So when you have more energy, naturally you move more. Not only will you train harder in the gym, but you naturally move more, like your actual NEAT levels. So like your non-exercise activity thermogenesis levels, getting your steps, little things, even like me fidgeting with your pen at the desk in work, whatever it is, that you actually have an increase in energy expenditure. So that can also be really beneficial. And when you're in a deficit for a prolonged period of time, our body gets very smart and it essentially reduces consciously and subconsciously our energy expenditure as it tries to preserve as much energy as it can to just fuel you. It's also been really realistic with your expectations around this time of the year that, is now a realistic time for you to try to maintain a deficit? Probably not. But also, so maintaining is a fucking win in itself. It is also equally the best time of the year is time at maintenance. Managing your expectations and taking time at maintenance is setting you up for a successful diet phase come January. As I said, if you are trying to adhere a deficit, you're not going to adhere to it. January comes, you're already fucking fed up because you spent the last 2 weeks telling yourself you're going to do something that you're not going to do, or 4 weeks. You're mentally fatigued. Whereas if you accept that now is probably the best time for you to work on actually just maintaining where you're at, having more food freedom, having better sessions, stronger sessions, and also upregulating your metabolism and everything else like that, come January then you're ready to go. if your goal is fat loss, because you've been realistic with your expectations and you're in a better mindset to do so, rather than this continuous loop of, I'm going to diet, oh fuck, there's another tin of Cadbury roses. It's just really being realistic with your expectations around this time of year, and maintenance itself is an absolute win. It does scare quite a few people, so it is literally just changing the mindset. You have extra fuel, setting performance-based goals, accepting that maintaining is an absolute win, and maintaining habits, and the diet break reset. So like that, if you are in a diet phase now, like literally taking those 2 weeks, 4 weeks out of maintenance phase, it's literally just essentially an extended diet break. So you're going to feel a hell of a lot better come January when you're good to go with them with your goals. Memories over macros is a term you hear quite frequently. I will be honest, I don't fully agree with it. As in, I don't think it has to be one or the other, but it's also being aware that there are times to enjoy a moment and be present, and then there are times when you just need to fucking rein it in because it's 10:30 on the 12th of December and you need to make sure that your actions align with your goals and not falling into that, fuck it, it's Christmas mentality, and just being realistic with things. Do you write off an entire week because you have one event at the weekend? Like weddings, we'll use them as a brilliant example, because whether you're at that age or it just happens that weddings are something that you'll have known for ages, and then next thing you feckin' 7 in a year. Do you write off an entire week because you have a wedding on Saturday? Similar to that, you're 20 meals out of 124. Like, you don't have to write off. What sense does it make to write off 7 days because you have your Christmas party on Saturday night? Like, remove the emotional and think logically. It doesn't make sense. So win the days and win the meals that are easily won. This is a favourite of mine. So again, it comes back to being realistic with expectations and also thinking logically about things. Is if you went Christmas shopping today with a budget of $2,000, right? And you spent $4,000, what would you do tomorrow? Fuck it, it's Christmas. I'm going to go and spend another $4,000. I don't think so. You probably wouldn't. So again, it falls back to that fuck it, it's Christmas mentality. Not saying you need to, don't fall down or take this up in the wrong way with regards to like, oh great, I'll undereat my calories tomorrow. That's not where I'm coming at with this. The point is that fuck it, it's Christmas. Like, I've already done damage today, I may as well do more damage again tomorrow. Let's just write off the entire week. Would you do that with your shopping? Would you literally be like, well, fuck it, the budget was 2,000, spend 4,000, sure, everyone in the family, the fucking great granny's sister is going to get a Christmas present because I may as well spend another 4,000 today. You wouldn't. You'd rein it back in a little bit. You'd be like, oh fuck, I need to calm down. Maybe that person doesn't need a Christmas present. Maybe I don't need to open another full box of Cadbury biscuits. So it's just, again, reframing the way that you think about things. Reminding yourself what actually makes you feel good. Self-awareness and things like, what is worth going off track for? Again, off track. We're not a train. There is no track. There is just getting back to habits and routine. But yeah, if you do have a shitload of events, what is worth going off track for? Do you have to go ham on every single event that you go to? The Christmas party that you aren't really arsed to go, and the neighbours friggin' evening dinner that you hate going to every Christmas. Is that worth going off track for? Or can you rein it in a little bit for that? It's like, weighing up all these events that you have and prioritizing them. It is not all or nothing. It is all or something. And it's just, again, being realistic with your expectations. If you are currently training 5 days a week in the gym, is that realistic for you this time of year? Are you going home? Are you going on a holiday? Are you maybe, going somewhere else and you don't have access to the gym? So just remembering that, oh, well, I can't get my 5 sessions done this week, so there's no fucking point doing anything at all. Really? Can you reduce that to 3 sessions a week? If you're currently hitting 15,000 steps a day, well, I can't hit my 15,000 steps anymore, so I may as well sit on the couch every single day. I'm going to aim for 1,000. You're better than that. And it is, it's literally not all or nothing, it's all or something. And remembering that something is always going to be better than nothing. Something I like to use with my clients around all times of the year, and especially busy periods of the year, is the 3 for 30 or 4 for 40 method when it comes to their gym sessions. Like, if you don't have the time or, the means to go and do your normal training sessions, doesn't mean oh, well, feck it, there's no point training at all because I can't do every single exercise. Pick 3 exercises, 30 minutes. Pick 4 exercises, 40 minutes, in, out, job done. Miss once, don't miss twice in a row. This is something I stay firm on with myself. So we'll say you are going out for a meal, and that's totally fine. So you're like, okay, cool, I'm going out for dinner. I'm owning and accepting that I want to go and enjoy this dinner with my family. Don't come home and eat the entire cupboard just because, so from that next meal, just get back to doing what you normally do. Try to make sure that next meal has protein and some fruit and veg in there as well. Don't let yourself miss twice. Eat like an adult. Mindfulness, moderation, and with maturity is a very, very helpful thing to remember. Wait until January. This is the common mind frame a lot of people get into. So the harder that you go, the more you have to come back on, physically, mentally, emotionally. So you decide that it is the whole month of December, so there is no point doing anything at all, and fuck it, I'm just going to wait until January. Cool, that's totally fine. But if you go into that with, I'm just going to wait until January mentality, so I'm going to go all around me now for the month of December, because come January, I'm back on that bandwagon. The harder that you go during this period, the more you have to come back on, the more work you are making for yourself in January. So it's just being very aware and very realistic with that, because again, something is better than nothing at all. Win the days that you can, win the meals that you can as well, is something I frequently tell my clients too. If you have 10 days that you can't control, cool. That still means there's 21 days where you can. So like that, whether you're going out, whether you're going for dinner, whether you're doing whatever, you have a Christmas party, you're going out for drinks, win the days that you can. Again, you have an event on Saturday, win the other 6 days of the week. You have a meal out this evening, win your other meals. Like, win the things that are easily won, and don't just sack off an entire day, an entire week, an entire bloody month because of one event or a handful of events. Guidelines when it comes to, I suppose, like the nutritional side of things and things to look out for is focus on your protein. Again, whether you're tracking or not, entirely up to you, but focus on protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, so prioritising that and making sure you're getting adequate amount of protein in is obviously going to help maintain muscle mass. But it is also going to keep you feeling fuller for longer. So the likelihood of you overindulging, over-consuming, over-snacking is greatly reduced. Fruit and veggies, make sure you are still loading them into your meals. More whole foods where you can. Control the meals that you can. Stay hydrated, keep your Franks by you, keep your water by you as well. Pick and choose your occasions. Again, like that, what's worth going off track for. Training to feel good and not as a punishment, right? You're not a dog, you don't earn treats, you don't earn food. You should, if you are continuing with your training sessions, like you should be, to be honest, because you are staying in a routine, it is doing so to feel good. And like that, if you have an evening where you overindulge, the next day, essentially more calories means more energy, means you've more energy in the tank for a fucking solid session the next day. You're not training to undo the work that you've done or burn off those calories. You're literally to feel good for your mental health and not for a punishment. Keep your steps as a non-negotiable, lads. It's going to make you feel a hell of a lot better. You can have whatever you want, but you cannot have everything. So unfortunately, we cannot go out for 31 meals, 31 days of the year and, look and feel our absolute best self having 31 drinks every night of the week. You can have whatever you want, but you can't have everything. So it is compromising on events, compromising on, again, being realistic with your expectations and what you expect out of this month. But also winning the meals that you easily can, making little swaps, making yourself aware of choices really does account for an awful lot. Be present, right? Don't just give presents, be present. The food and drink is not the occasion. Being in good company with good people is, and this is what a lot of people really forget when it comes to Christmas. It is the most wonderful time of the year. It is not a time to be feared. It is not a time to be stressed over. It is a time to spend, a time of the year to spend good time with quality people that you love. It is not the food and drink. That's the important thing. It's the quality time with them. You're not missing out on anything when you're working on yourself. And you know what, if someone tells you to be normal and have a drink when you've decided you don't want to, tell them to go fuck off. Few questions to ask yourself. If you are going out for a meal, do you need three courses? Can you have one lovely main meal and a drink? Can you have a main meal, share a dessert and skip the drink? Do you need 3 different side dishes? If you're having a dessert, can you limit your snacking that day? Can you ensure that the rest of your meals that day are one? They are home cooked, high in protein and veggies. So again, it's not all or nothing. Set yourself up to win by setting a realistic plan for the occasions that you have. Like that would be it, looking up the menu beforehand, being, realistic with your choices, owning and accepting the choices that you make, because you can't always rely on willpower. How do you get back on track? Right? After that, again, we are not a train, but how do you get back on track? Biggest thing is with absolutely no restrictions, right? Food that you actually enjoy. Focusing on protein, veg, fiber, fruit, fueling your body correctly. Movement for the mind, not as a punishment. Building back the routine that you had and still keeping your non-negotiables. Set your non-negotiables and, have them as your habit ticking. There is no getting back on track. It is just getting back to routine, back to what makes you feel good. If you have 2 weeks of absolutely no routine whatsoever, it's accepting that you're not just going to snap your fingers and have it back. It's going to take a little bit of work. So just being realistic with that and setting yourself up for that too. So let's wrap this up. Manage your expectations during this time of the year. Own, accept and move on from whatever choices that you make. At the end of the day, we're at an age now, guys, where there's no such thing as peer pressure, right? You make the choices, you own them, and you make yourself aware of, I suppose, the repercussions from them. You want to go absolute ham all December and not feel like pure shite come January. The harder you go, because the fuck it is Christmas mentality, the more you have to come back from. Time at maintenance is not wasted. It is strategic. It is, again, one of the best phases of the year. Don't rely solely on willpower. Make a fucking plan for those events that you have. Be present. Chew your food. People don't do this enough. Chew your food. And just breathe. It's not like that. If someone is offering you a second plate, always happens on Christmas Day. You probably will go for a second plate. That's totally fine. But just give yourself a few minutes in between. Instead of going straight up, give yourself 10 minutes. Have a little drink of water. Have a chat with the person sitting next to you. Give yourself a few minutes for that food that you've just consumed to actually digest. And then if you want a second plate, go and enjoy it. Eat like an adult and not an unsupervised child. Win the days that you can easily win. Prioritise your bloody protein, for the love of God. Enjoy the things that you truly want to enjoy and get your shit together for the rest of the days. You don't write off 7 days because of one. One occasion is not an excuse to write off a week. Treat your nutrition as you would treat your banking. You eat well and train hard for your mental well-being as much as your physical. So just remembering setting your non-negotiables and what actually feels good to you is really important. Follow your guidelines. You do not need to announce them. It's probably the biggest thing I give is a bit of advice I give is, when it comes to your choices, you don't have to announce them to everybody. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to, let your best friend's sister know that you're not drinking because you're trying to be good and it's not an occasion worth going off track for. It's, you don't need to announce those things. It's having a plan in place and just being strategic about it as well. You can have everything. You can have anything, but you can't have everything. And I guess, again, as I said, Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year. It is a time to be enjoyed. And do not let yourself feel anxious or stressed about it. There are 50, we're going to say Christmas is 2 weeks, between Christmas and New Year's. There's 50 other weeks of the year that you can focus on and that you can continue working to smash your goals. So put as much time, effort and energy into smashing those 50 weeks as you put into stressing about the 2 weeks. Because in the grand scheme of things, those 2 weeks mean sweet fuck all. That is all from me. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or I can help you in any way, please let me know. So I do hope you found this beneficial. I hope you have a very lovely Christmas and a happy New Year.